Now that our Magento site has been configured in our last video, we can configure the connector in Acumatica. Let's start by navigating to the Magento connector workspace in Acumatica and clicking Setup Parameters. When in this screen, we can see that there are multiple sections that can be configured to a user's needs. The first section is Connection Settings. In Connection Settings, we can enter the Magento URL for the instance we're syncing with Acumatica. We also have to enter in the bearer token. To find the bearer token, navigate to the System workspace in your Magento admin site and click Integrations. An Acumatica Commerce Edition or ACE integration exists, so we can click on the pencil icon, and the bearer token will be listed as the access token in Magento. After entering in both the URL and the bearer token, we can test the connection. It looks like it was successful. The next section is Queue Processing Settings. This is what makes the connector work in real time. The threshold count refers to how many messages will be sent individually by the connector before sending bulk syncs. In this case, 10 messages will be sent first individually. The next field is batch count, which is the number of records to be sent in a bulk message to Magento. If this is set to 10, that means batches of 10 messages will be sent in bulk after the first 10 messages are sent individually. Next is the retry count. This refers to the number of times the connector will retry a failed message before rendering an error message. In this case, the connector will retry 3 times prior to rendering an error message. After this, we have queue process times. As we see in this instance, the queue process time is set to 50 seconds, meaning the queues will process all messages every 50 seconds. The queue process sleep time refers to how long the connector will rest prior to initiating another queue sync. So, if in 50 seconds there are no messages to be sent, the connector will sleep for 2 seconds and then initiate another connector sync. The next several sections refer to individual sync preferences for entities in the connector. Price sync preferences refer to what type of price is being synced to Magento. This preference will only appear if using Kenzium's Commerce Pro solution, allowing you to select the default or sales price to sync. Next are inventory sync preferences. If using Kenzium's Commerce Pro solution, you'll have the option to sync inventory at a branch-wise level. Otherwise, you can select what inventory is synced to Magento, whether it's quantity available on hand, or quantity available for shipping. You can also select the warehouses to be monitored and the Magento sync quantity value that will be updated. The last section that will appear if using Commerce Pro is vendor inventory sync preferences. If you're holding inventory at a vendor site, you can include that inventory in the quantity or place it as a separate value. Shipment syncs can be configured in the next section. The sync of a shipment in Acumatica can be initiated on the shipment's confirmation or on the release of an invoice. In A2M Customer Sync Preferences, you can toggle which customer classes you wish to sync. In A2M Order Sync Preferences, you can select which order types to sync. And if using dropshipping, you can select the Ship Via method for dropship synced in the connector in A2M Dropship Ship Via Sync Preferences. In the Additional Settings section, you have the option to enable the sync of customer attributes. Customer attributes can only be synced if using the Commerce Edition of Magento. The final section is Individual Sync Status. Much like sync preferences in Magento, here in Acumatica we can enable or disable certain entity syncs to give us more control over what information is being synced. Enabling these entity syncs at this level will allow data to transfer from Acumatica to Magento. Acumatica logs can also be configured in the Setup Parameters screen. At the top of the screen, click the Logging tab. The options here allow for a user to enable or disable the logging of info or error level messages. For example, if we just want our Acumatica logs to show what isn't working, we can toggle off the info level preference here and only error messages will be logged.